Hey everybody, and welcome to part 3 of our Gateway to the Dolomites series. But instead of checking out cities or mountains today, come along with me as we explore the Road of Castles. Okay, so what on earth do I mean by this Road of Castles? Is that even a thing? Well, it's not an official one, I'll tell you that. You see, I did myself some Google Maps zooming and was quickly rewarded by castle after castle after castle, all along an ancient road just southwest of Bolzano, down along the A22 and the SS43. There are easily 10 plus castles in various conditions, from ruins to reconstructed manors scattered mere minutes from each other. So for this reason, I'm going to be going on a bit of a meander along what I'm lovingly dubbing the Castle Road, to see if there's more to this region than the epic mountains and lakes along those tourist tracks. What secrets are going to lurk just on the other side of those hills? However, unfortunately, there's not going to be much in the way of public transport for these types of sites, as, well, they're all a bit out in the middle of nowhere. So let's hop back in the car as we leave behind Bolzano and arrive in just over an hour's time near the gorge entrance that leads to the pilgrimage-worthy San Romedio, or however you pronounce that. Alright, now am I glad to be back on solid ground. Not to say that that drive wasn't cool, it was beautiful, but I think I've also done more hairpin turns in the past 40 minutes than I've ever done in my whole life. Made more complicated by the fact that the roads are often quite narrow, 1.5 cars or less, and full of bicyclists. So you can't even take a nice driving line around all those twisty turns, as you need to constantly reevaluate your lane position to dodge everything. So my recommendation to you is definitely get the smallest car you can, even the Mini felt quite big, and make sure to drink your coffee because you're going to need your concentration. And if you get car sick like Camille, well, good luck. But for now though, enough about driving, enough about cars. Let's get into the woods and make our pilgrimage to San Romedio. Oh, and of course, get here early. The parking lot's small and it fills up fast. So we just passed a sign back there recommending that you only do this mountain trail with appropriate clothing, including a mountain helmet. I have no idea what they mean by that. Maybe this is kind of like the Miesweg where they say you need all kinds of stuff and you don't really. Or maybe I'm gonna eat those words and wish I'd brought more than just a hat. But from everything I've read online, sturdy hiking shoes and some breezy athleisure should do us just fine. But we'll find out. Okay, I think the helmet makes a little bit more sense now. Not strictly required, but the rocks do get kind of low. You have to crouch a little bit to get through. Maybe they need a helmet just in case you bump your head. And though I definitely do appreciate these steel rope cables to hold onto, I don't know, with this fence, I'm not sure if they're strictly necessary. So far, I'm definitely loving this trail. It's absolutely gorgeous. But one of the cool plaques I just read is all about the birds in these here hills. As it says, due to the relative inaccessibility of this gorge and the fact that it's rather well protected, i.e. humans haven't ruined it, these cliff faces and thick forest are full of birds of prey. From all your different types of owls, I think they mentioned 5 different species, and of course your buzzards, peregrine falcons, and kestrels. So, if you're a bit of a birdie, I would highly recommend maybe having a bit more time in your itinerary to walk this pass slowly and keep your binoculars out. Now we're almost at San Romedio now. Another thing to note is that there's a very small but otherwise very helpful and accessible parking lot behind me. So if you can't, don't, or aren't in the mood to do the hike that we just did, you could risk it and try to get a good spot here. This way everyone can enjoy San Romedio, but for me, I really like that hike. All right, now with the hike completed, I am yet again sufficiently sweaty. That just seems to be a theme for this whole trip, but what would you expect in this heat? So if you don't mind, before we explore the incredible beauty of this place, I'm gonna grab an ice cream, then we can look around. This place has some really interesting folklore that I would love to share with you. You see, as the story has it, this complex was founded by San Romedio after a very interesting and eventful trip to Trento. He wanted to go see the bishop, so he simply mounted his horse and off he went. But in this valley here, his horse was attacked by a vicious bear and was sadly killed. However, not one to lose composure, he tamed the bear and rode it the rest of the way to Trento, and he got to see his bishop. In remembrance of that epic battle and his saintly attitude, he founded this complex, and here it stands. Though perhaps that does mean I should address the bear in the room in this Road of Castles itinerary. The first place I've taken you is kind of more 3 churches stacked on top of each other. However, considering the folklore, the hiking, and just the impressive scenery and architecture, I'm sure you can forgive me. You know, it's actually quite funny. This isn't even the first Alpine church I've ever been to that's been dedicated to bears and their epic stories. However, what is unique is that instead of being just a church itself, they've also opened up a bear sanctuary. So behind me lies Bruno, a bear that was bred in captivity and kept almost his entire life in small, narrow cages that they've rescued to give him a better life here, since sadly, there's no way he could ever be released back into the wild. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I was quite worried about that when I saw it on the map, when I saw Bear Sanctuary. I've had quite a few days, not ruined, but definitely sullied by going to sad zoos and aquariums. There's nothing quite like the damper of sad animals. However, I'm happy to report that I'm no expert, but from what I can see, everything here seems quite all right and I'm not bummed out at all. I'm glad that Bruno can have a much better life, and I'm sure he's way happier here in this wonderful gorge than he ever was before. Wow, that was incredible. I think we can all agree that this place is just magically stunning. I'd love to stay here a lot longer, maybe even hike some more of the trails they've got around here. But alas, no, I've got many castles to do on my Road of Castles day trip, so we're gonna need to get going to make good time. However, before we leave, I thought we could have a spot of fun, as in the gift shop, I've bought myself 2 postcards. One from my grandmother, because she absolutely loves these things. She loves getting them from all my different travels. And one for you guys back at home. I thought we could play around with a bit of a giveaway. Nothing too crazy, but I think they're quite nice. So if you want to have one of these, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be picking someone about a week after the video drops, and we'll get in contact to send one your way. I hope you like this idea. If you do, let us know that, because we can keep doing them wherever we go. And if not, we can just drop it. Anyway, to the car. All right, so we've officially made it to our next stop, Castle Thun, and you can see it right over my shoulder. And at this point, I am just shocked that we're still alive. The driving has been so difficult. The Mini has felt massive on these tiny, tiny 1-lane roads that you just kind of have to pray that you don't see any other cars while you're going. And at one point, we were just driving through some dude's orchard because the infrastructure, it's a little bit weak. And I know that some people like that, but I want you guys to see amazing places. It's the whole point of the channel. So to do that, let's crush a little bit more elevation. Let's get going. Well, now that we're here, what's the deal with this castle anyway? Well, I've got to say it's something special as we're hanging out in between multiple layers of castle fortification. Something else. Now, if you continue in through the main entrance right up the grand roadway, you're going to get to the central fort and the museum. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you any of that. They don't really like cameras. Standard fare, really. And what's even worse is they don't like drones either. And so as epic as it would be to show you how cool this place is from the sky, I'm just not going to be able to. But to make up for it, I've got a cool little travel hack for you. Let's say you want to make this a quick stop. You've got lots of castles to see. Well, what you can do is skip going up the main rampart, take a right, come towards this expansive back garden and just hang out. It's all free and you can just chill here as long as you want. Let's say that this incredible panorama view isn't enough for you though. Somehow you aren't impressed enough by the southern lawn to make it a part of your trip. Well, if we go in through the sneaky back entrance, we can go through a tunnel and pop out at a cafe, which means, yes guys, I'm gonna be able to get yet another spritz. I mean, when in Südtirol, right? And that's why we're abandoning the Mini Cooper we rented to drive down to the Südtirol in this random Trento parking lot. And now we're taking a train to Bolzano. So yeah, the Share Now Mini, it broke down halfway through our trip, scuttling so much of what we had planned. And it's even still an ongoing issue to this day with them. So I won't be talking about it to its conclusion in this video. In a future video, I'll come back and I'll tell you about the worst travel disaster I have ever experienced. So it's a new dawn, it's a new day here in Bolzano, and I am just not feeling so good. I was supposed to finish the day off yesterday after Castle Thun by going to a bunch of really cool ruins that are hard to get to, but instead the day was an absolute disaster. After visiting Castle Thun, our rental car completely broke, leaving us abandoned about half an hour outside of Trento, which is an hour away from Bolzano. That being said, I might still make a video on this particular experience, as you guys might be interested in what happens when everything with Share Now goes wrong. I vlogged a lot of it last night, and if you do want to see it, comment below, give me some love. God knows I need it today. But I don't want to let it scuttle this video. I still stand by my recommendations, and I've never really viewed this channel as like a personal vlog of my travel experiences, but more of an opinionated itinerary and guide to help you go more interesting places. I don't want to leave the video off at such a sour note. So instead, I'm going to show you some castles that I wasn't going to include, which are the ones looming over Bolzano itself. So let's go check them out. All right, so now back onto the positive. Bolzano is a beautiful city situated along a lovely little river that cuts through this valley. And as such, all of these walking paths are going north and south along the river. And they are stunning, which of course is no surprise because Bolzano is so pretty. One of the first things I've noticed while walking along these beautiful riverside paths are just how many dedicated walking and cycling paths there are, including a variety of bridges. So it's incredibly accessible. I love that. But now what are we actually going to? A castle with the oldest non-religious fresco. So that should be really cool to see. I bet the walk is just going to be awesome. All the hills in this valley north of Bolzano are so pretty. They are littered with an almost constant amount of visual interest, from churches, castles, farmhouses, orchards, vineyards, you name it. It's like a mega Tuscany, if you will. It's just so cool to look at them as we stroll along these lovely paths, even if it is a bit hot. Alright, so Castle Roncolo is off to a pretty damn good start. I love these entrances that still just have the fortified walls. Really cool. And this little bit of woodland shade, whew, I needed it. Also, what a tagline. Castel Roncolo, the illustrated castle. It's got a good ring to it. And in classic fashion, as soon as you go over the drawbridge and into the gate, you're greeted by a cafe. You know what? I think I'm going to take them up on that offer before we go into the museum. Now, I told you I was going to take it easy, but even I didn't know how easy I was about to take it, as I just lounged there for about an hour and a half, just cooling down, drying off in a wonderful breeze with some good drinks. And I can now officially say I am in the perfect headspace to enjoy this excellent museum and these ancient frescoes. Let's check it out. So what can I say about this castle other than the fact that I absolutely love it? Easily one of my top 5. And why? Well, starting off is that courtyard. It's so cozy and dripping with medieval aesthetic. You could easily spend all day there. And then of course we get to the frescoes, which are something novel, unique, and interesting. You see, instead of being religiously themed, they're fundamentally secular themed. And I'm not making a value call here. I'm just saying that once you've been in Europe for a while, you've seen a lot of religious iconography. So to come here and see the oldest secular frescoes, I mean, it's something new and it's something different. Not to mention the story as to why this castle is so well themed is quite interesting too. You see, it was bought in the 1300s by some up-and-coming bourgeois wine merchants who, obsessed with the nobility, wanted to ingratiate themselves. So they started decorating every wall they could with noble culture, history, and propaganda, if you will. And hey, it worked, because when the Habsburgs took over Tyrol, they managed to get ennobled themselves. So it's pretty weird. And though I'm not a huge fan of the bourgeois or the noble, I have enjoyed looking at their frescoes. Okay, as fun as it was, it's now time to leave. Oh, and if I forgot to mention, it only cost €8 per adult to go in and visit all of those frescoes, and then drinks, you know, depending on what you get, another €3-4 on top of that per drink. And so I think here is as good a place as any other to end not only this video, but the Dolomite series. Sadly, I haven't been able to accomplish everything that I wanted. I won't be able to make one of the videos I was really excited about, but hey, these things happen. The most important takeaway though, is that this video was never designed to show you the 4 best castles on Castle Road, but instead to inspire you to spare a day or two in the Dolomites for all of the excellent castle ruins. To go out there onto Google, find out what might be your favorite 4 and add them in, because I would just never have time to cover them all as much as I'd really like to. So please like, comment, subscribe. Did I accomplish my goal? Are you inspired to go to these castles? Have you enjoyed the Dolomite series? And also, if you're interested in a full vlog about what went wrong, how we handled it, how we handle these types of problems when we're traveling, and ultimately how we got back to Munich since we have no rental car anymore, let me know that too. We've never edited a vlog, but hey, if you guys want it, we'll give it a go. But for now, I'm gonna go rest up, and I'll see you in the next video, whatever that might be.